Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung, a pro wrestling podcast. I have with me the current NWA television champion, one of the hottest stars on NWA. Of course, I am talking about Bryan. What's going on, my friend?
Aside from really messy hair, not much. I was working on my motorcycle. I forgot we had a podcast, so here I am.
No worries. We'll get this done real quick because I want to talk to you about this. Normally, my podcast are more positive. I don't discuss a whole lot of controversial things, but this is something that I actually care about. I'm an NWA guy. Grew up watching NWA. You Ric Flair, who carried these championship wrestlers across the Mid-South and Georgia Championship Wrestling. And AEW has decided that they're bringing in a belt, the national championship or wrestling championship belt. And the problem is they absolutely linked it to the NWA belt, and that bothers me because history fucking matters. I want to read you something real quick, and I know you heard it, but for all the fans who may not know what's going on, on November 5th, on episode of Dynamite from the Bayou Music Center in Houston, and it was an announcement was made, and Tony Schiavone went and said that they are bringing, quote unquote, back the National Wrestling Championship, and that bothered me because to bring it back means they had to have it once before. They never have. They explained the history, saying that in 1985, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Georgia Championship Wrestling merged. At the time, there was a U.S. Championship and a National Championship, and in '86, those two belts were unified at an Omni show into what became the U.S. Championship. Schiavone also said we haven't had a national champion in almost 40 years. Let me remind everybody that currently Mike Mondo is the national champion. Man, what is going on, Bryan?
All right. So, I mean, we give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, 1 sec.
Yeah. While we're waiting on Bryan, let me read this real quick.
All right, I'm back.
Go ahead, Bryan.
All right. So let me sum this up like this quick, because it's like we got the before, during, and after. So at this point, when you're saying this, when it was announced like this, yeah, they definitely referenced a lot of NWA history directly. It said NWA's Georgia Championship Wrestling, blah, blah, blah. Then we go, who's the first ever national championship? Austin Idol. Then we say, there's a current champion, Mike Mondo. So, and there's been a whole bunch in between. So whether you're splitting lineages and histories and blah, 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 the point is AEW was directly referencing the NWA title. Now, we can get into whatever the supposed reasons for that were or whatever. If we were taking it at least the lowest face value, we would say, well, it added something to talk about with the title, right? Because we're just pulling a national title from nowhere. Oh, actually, it's not from nowhere. It's the idea of this and this. Okay. Sure. And so if somebody's asking me why I spoke up about it or whatever, it would be because they didn't ask permission to do that. They didn't have any permission to do that. And whether or not it's the intent or not, okay? So I'm saying we can take it as Tony Khan has somewhat stated, and I mean, I know he stated to Billy that he didn't mean anything by it. He wasn't trying to do that. But I'm saying on the surface of the thing, the issue where if you're a wrestler of the NWA, you got to speak up is because that's like in the wrestling storyline way of like making a title, taking it from a company and saying, well, we have a bigger audience. We're in front of more people. We're more established, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to take your title. We're going to name it our own, but we're going to take all the history and say it's this title. So it's basically saying we're taking another version of your title. We're saying this is the actual title now. Yours doesn't matter. Argue with us all day, but we just split in front of hundreds of thousands of fans that this title is actually ours. So it's kind of like a kayfabe way to kill a company, which is very, very much a disrespectful, terrible thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if anybody was wondering why, if anybody's paying attention, why I spoke up and whatever, and I'm not sure some of the wrestlers even understand, And that's unfortunate. But if you understand wrestling and what wrestling is, it's not about the name, the national title. No one
Right.
cares. There could be 72 intercontinental champions in every Fed. But if they're directly referencing the national title of another company, well, then there's another company. Not to mention there was the legal dispute over the name Shockwave, which is, I'm not even on purpose. I swear to God, I was just working on my motorcycle. This is a shirt that I wouldn't uh, care if it got too dirty. So. Uh, I was wearing a Shockwave T-shirt, so it's funny. But there was a dispute over the use of the name Shockwave, which they had, said they were going to come out with a show called Shockwave, and NWA already had the usage of that, so there was a dispute there. So those are the reasons why, in the moment, I spoke up and I said some things, and some were harsh, and that's reality. And I think the funny part was a lot of people were getting mad, saying I took a dig at the wrestlers. And I really didn't, though, man. I kind of just
Right.
called it like I saw it. And
Right.
believe me, I got personal stories about each and every one of those people I named, by the way. They're not
Right.
people I don't know. And I got some good, some bad. And
Right.
believe me, like, I don't want to get into it, but I'm saying, like, if I wanted to say something negative about people, like, the most negative that didn't get responded to was, I referred to Orange Cassidy as a weird hands in the pocket wrestler. And
He
I
is.
didn't mean it. Yeah, dude, listen, Orange Cassidy, the guy knows how to wrestle. By the way, I think
Yes.
I wrestled maybe one of his first matches against him, by the way, when he was the Fire Ant. So it's not
Right.
like I don't know him. And it's not like I haven't had other shit go on with him. So it's like, if I wanted to say he was a shit wrestler, I would just say it. It's
Right.
not what I was saying. I was saying that's what your company's known for. A guy with the hands in his pockets, kicking people in the shins. And that's what I think of. And like somebody was like, oh, Nick Gage only wrestled there once, you named him. Okay, but like when I think of AEW, I think of that fateful night where it was primetime TV. And I remember it was one of the few episodes I've ever watched. And it was a main event against Chris Jericho, and they were cutting the shit out of each other. And then he's using a pizza cutter, and it goes to commercial, and there's Domino's pizza commercial, and
Right.
everybody knows about it. It all happened. I didn't make it up. That's how it went. And so, to me, in somewhat of their history of their company, those are the things I think about.
Right.
So, was I saying it dismissively? Yes. But was I shitting on the wrestlers in general? Or when I said, those are local VFW guys in main event glory? No, that's what that company was built on, dude. And
Right.
like I said, like Janela, like shot back at me. And dude, I've known Joey, I've wrestled him 100 times. I've known him for years,
Right.
since he was a very different looking dude. And he himself was a pizza delivery man. Uh, you know, I got nothing against him, dude. I like him. He's funny. He's
Well,
he's
look,
he's wacky. So I'm
I
saying I wasn't taking shots at the wrestlers. I
right.
just want to clarify
Right.
that. Like I really
Yep.
wasn't. I was
Right.
just maybe taking a shot at the legacy in comparison. And again, am I that crazy or am I that far
No,
off?
you're not.
Because they felt the need. I'm saying
Right.
AEW felt the need to reference it, right?
Right. Well,
So that's my point.
right. And this is the thing. And I'm not a hypocrite, and I have no issue saying I watch AW wrestling. I'm a fan of WWE, fan of NWA. I like first wrestling. But even before you came out on social media and said what you said, as soon as I heard that announcement, I had a problem with it. And again, it wasn't because of the name of the belt. It's because references were made to about people like porn on dog,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And that's what I started having an issue with because, again, history matters when it comes to these title belts. You've had a total of 96 national wrestling championships, right? Austin Idol being the very first. And of course, Mike Mondo is the current. He's number 96. But you've had Brett Sawyer, Ted DiBiase, Ron Bass, Timmy Rich, just name a few of them. History freaking matters. So for a company that's not affiliated with the NWA to do this, I believe that is absolutely disrespectful. I mean, you have people like Jim Cornette coming out and saying that this isn't right. Jim Cornette called AEW
Yeah,
out.
no, everybody with a brain was on the side of it. Okay, so now we get to let's say this. Let's say the cool part, right? The cool part is I made so much noise so fast. And let's point out some other things. There's something else I want to point out because I don't need to be patted on the back to told them right. But
Right.
I like to frame things for the haters that think I'm some lunatic. If I was crazy, if you noticed, and maybe some of people didn't notice, but I can show you the screenshots. And I know the NWA has the screenshots. They originally put the press release out, and it directly mentions the NWA in the press release. Go back and look at that press release now. You know what it doesn't mention? The NWA.
Right.
So I'm saying, if they didn't think it was something off about it, they wouldn't have pulled it out of there.
Right.
And again, so now fast forward to the point where I made so much noise so quickly that Tony Khan responded to it by getting in touch with Billy, which
Yep.
is the first time they've spoken in years. And that's cool. And like I said, and I appreciate, look, I'm not some clout chaser, uh, phony, and I'm not gonna sit there and like say words and then not say anything else. Like, like I got my stab in. Um, look, it's cool that Tony reached out, and it's cool that he's really respectful and he himself commented on it. And I think most of what he's saying is fairly accurate. And so that's cool that he did that, and I appreciate that he didn't reference me by name, but he referenced the grievance, and he said like he understands people say things when they're angry or whatever, and he said that's cool, and I appreciate that. And same goes to him, like I got nothing really against the guy. I've met him before, I shook his hand before. I don't have anything
Right.
bad to say about him, really, dude. But
Right.
like in that instance, when you're attacking the sovereignty of the NWA, a company that absolutely I am in deep with, and absolutely I am grateful. You know what I'm saying? I have customized license plate that deal with the NWA on my
Right.
cars because that's how strongly I feel about the company. And maybe everybody else doesn't. Maybe some hater on the internet thinks we're garbage and whatever. But like I'm here to tell you and some of the weird indie wrestlers that were taking shots at me, like, bro, I make a real living at this. Like the NWA pays all of my bills. It's awesome. So I
Right.
have no problem. I will stand on the front line. You can shoot me in the chest with an arrow all day. I'll do it proudly because that's what they hired me for. And that's, I love that. And loyalty is real. And my loyalty to Billy is real as a friend. So I would never care about, getting shit on by my peers in order to stand up for what I believe is right for the company and for what I believe is right
Right.
with Billy.
And that's why I wanted to have you on, actually,
Mhm.
because man, look, it's been conversations with some people, but it's actually been debates with other people about it, because people are like, oh, well, they're gonna be frustrated if I see Thomas Monroe. I say it's not about the name, as you
Right.
said.
That's
Again, it's
that's the
about the
weird.
freaking
Right.
history
That's
of
the
it.
weird sticking point.
Right.
So the weird sticking point is like we named a national title. I don't care about that. Billy doesn't care about it. Nobody cares about that. What they care about is when you say the national title and then you say the NWA history. That is
Right.
the problem. That's you trying to recreate the title. So then the back pedal is okay. Well, we meant being defended on TBS. Okay, great. What does that mean? So it's like you're still like, if you just reference TBS, fine. But if you start referencing names of wrestlers from the NWA and blah 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 and saying, well, that's the last time a national title was defended, you're still indirectly trying to get the clout from the past history, which is not earned. So you
Right.
can't do that. So that's my point. But they were doing
Right.
more than that anyway. And whether, like I said, dude, you know, Tony claims it's a genuine misunderstanding, and that explained it to Billy. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and go over the specifics of the conversation, but I mean some things we learned, right? Tony Khan said out loud they're not going to use the name Shockwave anymore. So again, was I crazy? You know what I'm
No.
saying? Like everything I said was the truth. So I'm saying like it might be hard for people that are fans of AEW or haters of me to accept reality on that, and that's fine. Like I'm not
Right.
here to explain it to each and every person, even though I tried to, and I had fun doing it.
Right.
And people are like, "You're crashing, you're melting down." No, I'm not, dude. Like I'm not going to listen to idiocy. And when someone's like, not even they're saying like what you were just saying, like, well, there's a million national titles, and I'm like, hello, that's not the point, bro.
Right.
Like you're not listening, or you're just pretending like you don't, you're glossing over the actual issue. So that's fine. But I think it's reached some kind of resolution. I'm not
Mhm.
saying absolute resolution because I really do not know the entire details of what
Right.
Tony and Billy talked about and what they said. I know the gist of it because Tony spoke about it, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so I know the gist of it. So
Yep.
having said that, I think it's going to resolve. We'll see where it's going to resolve. But I'm
Yep.
saying, like, I don't have much more need to talk about it out loud. I raise the awareness.
Right.
I will single handedly say that if you're like, okay, who was the influencing factor of all this commotion? It was me. I don't think anybody's debating that. And I think I did the right thing. And I
Right.
think maybe some people don't agree with me. And there's rumors that there were other NWA wrestlers that were unhappy and other indie wrestlers. And like, I'm like, okay, dude, I understand, but maybe I speak a different language, and like I understand this game very well. And I don't think I did anything wrong. And I
No,
think I,
absolutely not.
in fact, I did the right thing, because if I didn't, they'd still be talking about the NWA as if it's their title.
Right.
And it would be, and like I said, maybe not out of, and I want to clarify again, maybe not out of malicious intent, but out of ignorance. But
Right.
just like in the eyes of the law, ignorance is not an excuse
Right.
to break the law. Correct?
Right. But this is where I'm going to disagree with you a little
Okay.
bit. I don't think it was out of ignorance. And first off, I am glad you said something about it because someone needed to, someone with a voice. Again, when I first heard it and when I heard them mention some of the names, I'm like, whoa, hold on. I have a little bitty podcast with 300 subscribers, right? A bigger
Right.
voice needed to be out there.
Right.
But I don't think it was even done out of ignorance. And this is what I want to go get to, and then I'll let you get going after this. I know you're a very busy guy.
No,
But
I got some things still. I got some time. Go ahead.
Tony Schiavone, right? This was my issue with him. He is a former NWA guy.
Mhm.
So my first thought was, did Tony even bother to bring up to the fact to Tony Khan, whoa, man, this is kind of not right. History matters. You're talking about NWA that has such rich history within professional wrestling. If there was never an NWA, and I will say this, I don't care if people disagree or not, if there was never an NWA, you would never have had AEW. You would never have had
1000%.
even WWE as big as it is. NWA played a huge role in professional wrestling being what it is today. It did. I'm sorry. If you guys don't believe me, go look up some fucking history.
You're in denial, yeah. The entire South, the entire southern state of wrestling is built on the NWA. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida recognized the title belt when I had it on my shoulder and told me I used to go watch Dusty at the Armory in Tampa when I was a kid. So I'm saying, like, that's how high up and how deep it goes. The lore of NWA history is indeed rich in what you said. And I want to go back and I want to correct you. I'm not disagreeing with you that someone possibly could have maliciously intended that. In fact, that was my first gut instinct. However, I'll take somebody at their word and at face value. And Tony has come forth and said he didn't mean anything by it and whatever. And he agreed to drop the name Shockwave. So again, maybe we could file it under the word ignorance. And even still, like, let's put it this way: if you weren't a wrestling promoter and you weren't paying a bunch of people and you didn't have the prominence you had because of that, it'd be the kind of thing, if you did that, if you were a local promoter, every wrestler would shit all over you and you'd be out of the business. But speaking to what you said about Tony Schiavone and whatever, can't blame the guy. He's making a living. And like I said, that's why no shade on those guys for making a living and sticking up for their company and whatever. The part that made me laugh are like the unsigned indie guys that were like taking shots at me. And I'm like, you guys are fucking bums, dude. And like, I can't listen to a guy who's like riding in a piece of shit car with his ugly girlfriend on the way to the indie show who's going like, young talent, don't listen to this guy. Like, hello, you should listen to me. And not because I think I'm the best, but because if you're like, okay, let's check my bank account, let's check my possessions, let's check my history in wrestling, the longevity that I put forth and the list of names that I've wrestled and all the places I've been, I know I'm doing something right. I don't know if you know, I'm all over the news today. So I'm saying for a totally different reason. So I would say any jabroni that's going, oh, young wrestlers, don't listen to this guy. Oh, no, because he thinks Tony Khan's going to give him a paycheck or whatever. He wants internet clout. You're not going to get it. So I'm saying that's the part that, like, I found befuddling, and I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. But I want to say a couple more things that all this is connected to. Okay, so in the midst of all that, I don't mind any fans telling me I suck or hating me. I don't care. Like, it's funny. You're allowed to have an opinion. I had some very, good banter back and forth with people, and I was genuinely enjoying it. You can call me ugly. You can make fun of my messy hair. I don't care. Like, I know when the lights go on and I got to be clean and I got to be good. I can be. I'm good. And again, you know what I mean? I'm not a gimmick, man. I'm talking to you from my house. This is my house with a 20-foot ceiling in the living room and a giant portrait of Liberace that's over there. And that's how I roll, man. So I'm saying, like, I have no shame in the game, and it's all because of pro wrestling and all that. So, but where I draw the exception is, like, and I want to address it, and I thought I was done addressing this for 100 years, but dude, all these Twitter people that try to win an argument or try to defame me keep coming up with this dumb speaking out story. Okay. And now let me start right there. Speaking out the movement, great. Totally necessary for the industry. I'm glad people that were victims got to speak out. I had some very close to me that got to speak out, and if that's what they wanted to do and that's how they wanted to handle it, good for them. Um, there was a story told about me, and when I say it was told about me, it was created, and it's not by an actual person. There's no actual person behind it. It's been factually debunked every which way. Wrong time, wrong event, wrong building, blah, 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 completely made up. And over the top, ludicrously stupid when you read it. It's written by somebody who has the writing skills of a seventh grader. And it's, I mean, for real though, it's
I
idiotic.
believe you. I'm laughing because it's true.
Yeah, it's idiotic. And again, it's not an actual person. The picture that was used in the profile was from a Ukrainian dating site. Um, the other picture in the background was from the Omnia hotel website. I mean, these are things that I found out a million years ago. And the only reason why I can't sue anybody and press charges is because I'm going to let the cat out of the bag in case I have it. So, and I hope it doesn't hurt other wrestlers when I say this. But when you don't use somebody's real identity, like their actual factual birth name, you can say whatever you want. And no matter, even if it's as long as, so even if it's, if I try to prosecute it, it cannot be a crime. So it can only be a civil case. So it's not a crime. If they use my real name, it would be a crime. You understand? So this is explained to me by the Florida State Attorney and the local police department. But I went all the way to the Florida State Attorney back in 2020 about this. And so they can't unmask the IP addresses, like whether they had a VPN or like they can't unmask or find out any of that because it's not an actual crime. It's just a civil thing. So the best I could do would be to try to file a civil suit against an imaginary,
Right.
masked identity, and then hope somebody runs their mouth a certain way and trips over their own 2 feet, and I find out more information. Um, but again, the person in the story is not a real person. So
Mm.
it's not a he said, she said.
Right.
There's some girl and she exists and she's talking to everybody. The profile was made the same day as speaking out. It was used only during that day or two. The story got debunked 1,000 times. The profile hasn't been active in years. It's not a real person. It was, and in fact, I know who it is. It was a guy. It was a male student of mine posing as a woman in the story to try to do
Mm.
damage to me because he blames me for the things he didn't accomplish in his career. And he's still out there trying to wrestle and he's still untrained and he's still terrible. And it's not my problem. And during this thing, he like cut an unhinged like video promo. It's up on Twitter. And I mean, it was just like you could see the guy's mentally unstable, and he is. His
Right.
posts for years are like a serial killer. And he's just one of those dudes that's bitter, hates every wrestler, ran his mouth about Top Dollar a lot, never even met him before. Like it was crazy. So the point is, I just want to put it across for the thousandth time. This is not a he said, she said. This
Right.
is a person that doesn't factually exist, telling an insanely fabricated story that's been debunked. And according to him, he hates it when I reference him for whatever reason, because I guess he just doesn't really like me. But David Bixenspan was huge in the movement of speaking out. He was uncovering facts, factually checking everything. He checked mine in 2 seconds and it was like, yeah, none of this adds up. So obviously it's fake.
Right.
Saying
Right.
and again, you could say, oh well, they messed the time up, oh they messed the date up, oh they messed the because originally that profile was interacting with the public, and it was like, oh I messed up the year, and I'm like, yeah, okay, did you? And then I was like walking the profile, like I was like, hey, I was like, tell me what the name of the show was, tell me who was on it, like, and they were naming the wrong venue, the wrong show, the wrong year, and there was no show anywhere near SummerSlam weekend at Evolve for Evolve at Laboom. WWN knew it was fake right away when they got sent to them. NWA knew it was fake. Everybody knows it's fake. But like I hate, hate, hate. And I'm saying, like, yeah, I guess if you're trying to get under my skin, like, does it make me mad
Right.
if you keep reposting this thing? Yeah, it does. It's idiotic. And like it's just how low class some of the
Right.
trolls are on Twitter. Like I posted a picture with my mother the other day and somebody retweeted it and was like, does she know that she raised a rapist? I gotta tell you something. Violence towards women is the least thing ever.
Yeah.
Have I said nasty things to girls when I'm in an argument? Yeah. And I'm saying, do I have a chainsaw mouth? Yes. Have I ever been violent physically, sexually, or otherwise? Absolutely not. And I'm saying I've had, like I said, you can accuse me of saying, hey, I've heard you say mean things out of your mouth. Absolutely,
Right.
to all types of people. It doesn't matter. I'm a chainsaw mouth and I'll own it. And I'm saying, but I've never put any female in physical or sexual danger in this story or otherwise. And I would be sick to my stomach if I would. I couldn't do it, man. from the family history I grew up with. It's something that it really resonates deep with me, and I'm very passionate about. And I'm the kind of person that if I saw that on the street, like I would absolutely interject myself if I saw a man hitting a woman or it was getting
Right.
too close to that. I would absolutely stop minding my own business and be like, "Whoa, I don't care what." And I've done it before. I mean, I've actually done that. I'd be like, "Hey, are you okay?" And like, dude's like, "Mind your business." I'm like, "Look, I'll mind my business, but you can talk to her." I'll tell you a story. This is a true story. One day I'm driving down the highway. This has to be 2015, maybe. I'm
Mhm.
driving down I wish I could look it up. So I'm driving down the highway and I see a car in the oncoming lane across the highway hit the guardrail at about 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. It flips up in the air. It's like something out of Grand Theft Auto. Flips out of the air, spirals, starts rolling over. The tire flies off, rolls down the street a mile, right? This man, so the car flips over. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the only, like, there's a few cars behind me, but no one's really, they're all going when the light changed. I stop. I'm like, oh my God. I pull over, I jump out. A lady comes running out of the car. She was a big lady. She comes running out of the car, and she's short, but she was chunky. And she comes running out of the car, and I was shocked. Like, she got out of the car so fast, and she's running over. Help me! Help me! He's gonna kill me! He's gonna kill me! Right? And I'm like, whoa, 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 are you okay? I'm like, what are you talking about? You okay? Okay, come here, come here, come here. And I'm like leaning her up against the back of my car. And I was like, hey, just we're calling 911. Just wait. She's like, no, you don't understand. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. I'm like, what are you talking about? I look over, out of the upside down car comes a dude in a suit. There's a guy of a movie.
Mm.
There's a Nigerian guy in a suit. And he's like walking towards me like the Terminator. And I'm like stunned because like I was like, and this is where I started. Like, fitness was getting pretty decent for me, so I was starting to look pretty big. And I remember I had a sleeveless shirt on. I think I just came from the gym, or was just going to the gym, and so I'm in workout clothes. And he comes walking across the street, and when he gets across the street, I'm like, "You're all right." And he doesn't answer me. He's like legit, like a Terminator, and he's just staring at the lady, and he's coming towards us. And I go, "Whoa, stop!" And I tell the lady, she gets behind me, and I go, "Stay there." And I walk up a few steps, we're right on the edge of the road. And I'm like, there's a pretty good sized shoulder there because it was a big wide turn of like a 4-lane highway. And I'm like, hey, stand right there. You all right? And the guy's like, starts cursing at me, and he's like, I'll kill you. And I can hear his Nigerian accent. And I was like, and I'm like, it's so funny because I was like, whoa, man, take it easy. And he's like, get out of my way. And he's like trying, she's like screaming, please, please, and I'm like, man, just stand over there, bro. I'm like, you just got in a big accident. Stand over there, just relax. And the guy's like, he's like, I'll effing kill you. I'll effing kill you. That's all he keeps saying to me, right? And then, like a true action hero that I am in the moment, I swear to God, I looked right at him and I said, look, man, you already cheated death once today. Don't push your luck. And that's all I said to him. And then he just stood there and stared at me. And I was like, go sit over there, man. And he just kept standing in the road. So at this point, some other dude walked up and he looked kind of like Santa Claus. And he came over, and it was shortly after the police started showing up, and the fire truck showed up, and an ambulance showed up. And, you know, it was crazy though, man. And it's like, I was willing to I was ready to defend that lady. And
Right.
she was a complete stranger to me. And all she kept saying to me was, thank you so much. I'm so glad you were here. Thank you so much. Like, he would have killed me. He would have got me. And because there was nobody else there this is a good 2-3 minutes. So I'm saying
Right.
we had a little standoff there. And I'm saying he would have got his hands on her for sure, because she wasn't a fast runner. That's for sure. And,
Mm.
like I said, she was a large lady. She was chunky and she couldn't really run.
Right.
Plus, she just got in a horrible accident. I mean, I'm just being
Right.
factual here. But again, there's no part of me that would ever stand for that. So when I when
Right.
I see
Right.
when I see or hear something like that, man, it's disgusting. And
Yeah. And look, if I even thought any of that was true, you and me on the podcast. But I'm a pretty good judge of character. And from the moment we first met in Vegas, when I first interviewed you, I got a good feel. Are you controversial? You are, but that's what makes you as good as you are. This is why you are at the place that you're at,
that's
right?
what I'm saying, bro. Pro wrestling.
Right,
I'm
but
built for it.
I have to stir the shit a little bit in a good
Sure.
way, though.
Not
In a
bad.
good
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. You are an excellent TV champion. You defend your belt. I think that you bring honor to the belt as well. But have you thought about becoming 2-belt idol? And what I mean by that is there's nothing more I would love than to get a match, Mike Mondo, Bryan Idol, for the national championship.
I don't want to de-hype the match, but I would say I'm very happy being the TV champion. And if there is the rule of the lucky seven, which in the NWA world is if you defend that title successfully 7 times, you can cash it in for another belt. If I was going to cash it in for another belt, I would cash it in for the 10 pounds of gold. Um, However, I'm very happy being the TV champion. I may never cash it in. I like it. I feel like I've brought that belt back to a level of prominence, I dare
Mhm.
say, with the Arn Andersons, the Tully Blanchards of the
Yep,
world.
I
And I
agree.
mean, again, dude, I'm in the news today with it. They're talking about it. Like I've taken pictures with governors. And I mean, it's all real things I'm doing in the community, real things that are happening around me. I've been to, I went to Ozzy's last show and everybody was taking pictures of me with that belt. I was at Warped Tour the other day as a special guest. They were taking pictures. Guys from Less Than Jake were taking pictures of me when I was on stage with them, and the belt had me out there. So there's there's a lot where I've brought a lot back to that. So I'm very happy doing that. I would say I would go for the 10 pounds of gold. I would also like to point out that I was instrumental in launching the career of Mike Mondo. A lot of
Mhm.
people, that's an old story, but
Right.
I was originally the person that first taught him his bumps and his first ever pro match. I gave him my spot in a match and he went and had a match. And so I'm very, very close with him and very proud of what he's accomplished in the last year and a half. And, like
He's
I
a
said,
great champ. He really is.
he's a great wrestler and he's one of the
Yeah.
greatest wrestlers. And it makes me laugh again, the internet and what people think they know. I promise, I said it on Twitter and I'll say it 10 times to anybody's face. Most people's favorite wrestler is Mike Mondo.
Mm.
Trust me. And he is highly regarded inside this industry as a brilliant wrestler and supremely
Right.
talented. And I get it. Fans that are not that aware when they're like, oh, he's Mikey from the Spirit Squad. Yeah, back then he wasn't showing you a whole lot, even though he
Right.
did wrestle. If you look at those feuds, he was probably the best one on TV at the time, putting on the best performances. Um, but yeah, you wouldn't really, if that's the last time you remember him, like, but like, let's not forget all the ROH stuff he did, all
Mhm.
the, he was conquering Feds OVW again, like all those Feds. He was dominating them back in the early to mid 2000s
Right. Right.
and he's
Right.
having a resurgence, man. He's in great shape.
Yep. Oh
And
my
another
gosh.
thing,
Excellent.
another thing I want to defend, man, and it sounds stupid and it's pro wrestling
Good.
again and it's whatever, but like even pro wrestlers on shows with me, they're all like, oh man, he's on all the steroids. I assure you, Mike Mondo I guarantee you, he'll pass any PED test. And
Right.
the real truth about him is he's a nerd and he just eats perfectly and works out. He doesn't go out. He's got a girlfriend. They sit home, they work out at the gym together. She's the one filming his videos. Like that's his life. He dedicated himself for the last year and a half to getting in shape and getting whatever. And I'm telling you, man, I've seen people try to push steroids on him. He won't take them. So
Right.
I'm saying,
What,
so
what, what amazes me about Mike is a lot of guys that are built like him are limited in the ring because of their move set, how they move because they're so
oh yeah,
big.
he's
He
not
is
physically
so
limited.
he is so light on his feet for a guy that's as
Huh.
big
And he's
as him.
gifted. And he was
Yeah,
always built
he
like
is.
that. Listen, he was
Yeah,
always built like he was always really built when, so imagine growing up, I had a backyard fed, and in my backyard fed is me, Mike Mondo, Anthony Nice. You know what I mean? There's some legit
right,
people in that crop of people, and even a lot of indie dudes that are out now. So there's a good crop of guys there, and I'm saying Mike Mondo was still the best built one back then, and he was 16. And
right.
guys like Anthony Nice were like little toothpicks, and now look at them. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
Yeah.
so you can grow, but like Mike Mondo was always built like that, always moved extremely well, always did all that. I mean, he's a rare, one of a kind talent. And I don't, he made some mistakes in his career, and I think it costed him a lot. But it's nice to see him having a real resurgence. I know he's very happy in the NWA. He just signed a contract. He's the national champion. Like, it's awesome. So it's a great story. And again, it's like you wonder the motivations, like when fans say the things they say, like to like take
They're
the
basement dwellers, man. I
but I'm
mean,
just saying,
you
but the
see,
same people, that'll tear my head off for saying
right,
Orange Cassidy's a weird hands in the pocket
right.
wrestler will take a shit on Mike Mondo and not think twice about it. So it's the hypocrisy is nonsense. But again,
It
that's
is.
why. But I'm saying, but like, look, so the star rule, the wrestling star rule is don't engage with these people on Twitter, right? But like that's bullshit, man. Like the place is made for talking, right?
Right.
So like if you want to throw an arrow at me and you want to talk some shit, well then I'm allowed to do it back. And what is it? Because it's beneath me? It ain't beneath me. You know what? I got
Right.
fingers and I got a phone. I can
Right.
sit here in my beautiful house while I'm working on my fancy cars and motorcycles. If I want to throw a tweet at you,
Right.
it's no skin
Right.
off my back, bro.
Well,
It doesn't make me feel like less of a
right.
celebrity, that's for
Well,
sure.
and then
So
then there's guys like me that I mean, you've seen the interaction I have with that one guy who was like, Bryan, I know who, like he was some, and you see what I said back to him. It again, they're basement dwellers. These are individuals who, they suck wind, just go and get a pizza from the refrigerator to going back to their,
yeah,
their
yeah.
lazy boys. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
mean
I'm saying?
it's a reality, And like I
Right.
said,
Right.
dude, some of it is good. It motivates me, Like
Right.
sometimes I'll see, there's a when I hear a girl talking trash about my hair or whatever, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I'm like, you know what? I'll make sure I have the best hair the next time she sees me.
Right.
Like,
Now, I'm sure that you and Mike have faced each other in the ring. I've just never witnessed it.
oh, they're really good. Can I
But
tell you?
when is there a possibility of us fans who want to see this again?
You'll see it in the NWA, I'm sure. Whether it might not be, it might be on a house show, but
Right.
under an NWA banner, it'll happen. I will say one of my favorite. People always ask me, "What are your favorite matches? What are your favorite matches?" Right? And I will tell you this: I recently had about a 26-minute match. I think it was maybe more. It might have been 30 with Mike Mondo in St. Pete, Florida, and for a lot of reasons, I would tell you that it was my favorite match and in a long time, and it's up there in my all time. And he is so fun to wrestle, and like it was so awesome what we were doing and how we were doing it. And that's when you realize, like, when you have someone like that, and it's not. See, the thing about wrestling, right? When you get on the inside of it, and you're like, okay, you can call everything, or like somebody's good in the ring, they can just make things happen. But like at least in my language, like it takes a certain kind of person to have a match like I had with him, because you have to be similar to me where like you're very giving and you're trusting and you're not selfish, like in the point where like you don't have this, you're not grizzled or miserable, like where you're just completely not open to the suggestive nature of what's happening
Right.
in there. And I'm saying like me and him are identical like that. And so what was happening organically in there was incredible. And like I am
Right.
confident I could take a 12-hour flight, get off the flight, have 5 minutes to go to the ring, and I'm wrestling Mike Mondo. It's going to be the best match on the show. Guaranteed.
Well, yeah.
Guaranteed.
No
And
arguments.
so like I do want the NWA fans to see it on a high level, and I'm sure
Right.
we will one day. I just don't know when, because we're both champions and we're both
Yep.
riding our
Yep.
own waves
Yep.
right now. But I
Yep.
appreciate you thinking about it, and
Man,
you're not
look,
wrong. Not wrong.
ever since I've been introduced to you, Bryan,
Yeah.
as far as on TV, and I started watching your matches right away. I'm like, oh man, this guy is golden. And then, with Mike, I'm familiar with Mike from back in the WWE days and then things that he's done. So I'm a fan of both of you guys. But I also want to say a personal thank you to you because, as some of the fans know, I was going to be holding a event for a nonprofit organization that helped both dogs and veterans. And unfortunately, I had to cancel it because of my own health issues with my spinal cord, something I'm going through right now.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But Bryan Ido was going to, without question, be involved in it because of what it's for. So thank you for that.
Of course,
I
man. And
really
if you
appreciate
pick it
that.
back up, I'm in, man. And I'll help
Absolutely.
you. I'll help you get others too. That's a good cause. And I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through. Hopefully it all works out.
It'll work out, always works out, man.
Good. It's a good attitude.
Positivity. Before I let you go,
Sure.
one, I want you to plug NWA, where they can see it and what time, and also tell the fans what's coming up for you in the near future here.
Sweet. Well, I'm just going to make it all NWA right
Sure.
now. So check it out. So NWA is on Roku. It's free. All you have to do on your smart TV is download the Roku app. You can just type in NWA Power. It'll come up with all the episodes on demand. Or if you're like, want to be in suspense, you can watch it debut every Tuesday on the Roku Sports channel at 8 p.m. But I say just go watch it on demand. Like, it still counts. Everybody's watching it. So but again, I want to stress, you don't need any additional service. It's free if you have internet and a smart TV. You can also watch it right on your phone. If you just go to our website, you just click that one link, and sometimes it'll come up and it'll say make an account. You don't even have to make an account. You can just close that box and still watch it. So it couldn't be, because people are like, oh, I liked it when it was on YouTube. It's actually easier than YouTube and less commercials and less clicks. So I'm telling you right now, go watch it on Roku. If you're in the area, December 13th in Tampa, we're doing 2 separate shows, 2 p.m. and then another one at 7 p.m. And it's our tapings for Roku inside the PBS studio, which we have it has an amazing look these days. So it's pretty cool. And my favorite thing, so like I like the bigger shows in the arenas, and it's kind of my gig there. But I really, really, really have to say that for a fan, the coolest thing about being in the Tampa studio is you are a couple of feet from the ring. And so it's like I've had people come and see wrestling for the first time there, and they're like, dude, I felt like I was in the ring, number one. Number two, they're like, I did not believe the level of action that I was seeing. So I would recommend, coming out to Tampa December 13th for the tapings there. And like I said, watch it on Roku. And if you're a smart internet fan, do me a favor, stop complaining about the production delay, because the reality is if you didn't see it live, it doesn't matter if it happened yesterday or 10 weeks ago. You didn't see it. So stop talking about it. Stop complaining. Plenty of other wrestling companies in the history of the world have done the same thing. It's really not that big of a deal. I understand, it's annoying when you read the results, but most people that complain don't even read the results. They just complain for the sake of complaining. Stop complaining for the sake of complaining. Thank you.
Bryan, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for doing what you did. I know you don't need pats in the back, but for all of us who have been NWA fans for all of our lives, that's where we grew up with. We grew up with those belts. It means something to us. It's not just a prop. The history matters to us.
Absolutely. And make no mistake, I don't care what anybody else says. I've earned the right to call myself the face of the NWA. I am the spokesperson. I am the one who lives and bleeds this. I am the one who goes every day and makes sure that I try to advance this company one step further, not just my own agenda, but the company's agenda, because I believe that the company is bigger than me, and the tradition of what you're talking about, it's a legacy. And I'm honored to be able to say I've held the same belt that some of those guys that held this belt, and it's not just about the belt, to even step in those rings, you know what I'm saying? So to go wrestle at the Chase or Center Stage Atlanta or any of these places and like have these moments, it's an honor and a privilege. And I've seen a lot of amazing things since I've been in the NWA. So yeah, man, I die for it. And so no shame in the game, man. That's just, so I thank you for having eyes and ears and seeing it, and anybody that realizes it, thank you. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow night, speaking of AEW, tomorrow night we will be doing our recap of tonight, AEW's Dynamite. Did we like it? Did we hate it? Was it just okay? Find out, join in. It will be myself and Michael doing the recaps, guys. So again, please subscribe, and until then, you guys have a great week. And don't forget to watch NWA on Roku channel, on Roku on Tuesday nights, guys. Have a good one, Bryan.
Thank you so much. Bye.